everybody. I hope you can hear me. I can't hear me. All right. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey, and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for middle Americans, where all middle Americans are welcome. Move the mic. Doesn't matter where you've been, doesn't matter where you're going, just matters that you're here right now and you consider yourself one of the few, the proud, the few middle Americans in the country. Now, we're not talking about the 20% of the crazies on the right or the 20% of the crazies on the left. We're talking about the 60% of middle Americans who just want what is best for the country. We try not to be too over dramatic about what's going on at any one time because we understand that there's a balance and we're not talking about parties. Everybody picks a party. Everybody picks either Democrats or the Republicans. A few people pick the Independents or the Green Party or the Liberation Party, whatever the heck, right? But I just want to be able to talk to people who have the opinion that the United States of America is set up to be an incredible organization that where we can talk and we can work through the issues so that we can come up with the best solution. And some of those solutions are not going to be the best solutions, but then we're going to have to talk about them some more and then we're going to have to make better decisions. There's a whole bunch of things that are out there that I want to talk about, but uh, you can't do anything without a conversation. So that's what I'm here to do is I'm here to facilitate conversation. So, what is going on in the world? Well, Donald Trump just created the biggest, bestest, most beautiful peace deal in the Middle East that's been 3,000 years in the making. And it came down to nobody could do anything over all of the years, and nobody really tried their hardest in order to do that. But now Donald Trump seems to have solved the issue. So I'm going to talk about that. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this originally, but then I saw some things and it made me concerned. And that's when I kind of pivoted. So I was going to do something on birthright citizenship. So, because the birthright citizenship, basically the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, is the Equal Protection Clause. And the 14th Amendment of the Constitution says 10, 13, 14. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. That's called the Equal Protection Clause. So I was going to talk about that. Wow, holy smokes. Got a tick in my throat again. All right. But because of the historic nature of what we just witnessed with Trump flying over to, well, first, Trump flew to Israel and talked to the Knesset. And then he went to Egypt in order to sign the paperwork. So before we get to that and let me share my thoughts on that, let's talk about what we do every single week, which is talk about the Constitution of the United States of America. We the people, the greatest document ever created. You are sharing the planet with 8,252,531 people. And in the United States, you're sharing the United States with 347,818,652 other individuals right now. And I don't know whether that counts illegal immigrants or not. But I'm going to say that that is based on the census data that they have and when they update that. And then this is the Bill of Rights. Holy smokes. Let me change that real quick to World Debt Clocks. Leave? Yeah, let's leave that. So anyway, and then this is All righty. I just killed the stream. I hope I'm back. I think that I'm back. 6 minutes in. I killed the stream. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I am on Restream and they do a really, really good job about keeping my stuff together. So I'm sorry that I killed the stream. Hopefully you're back and you are still with me. Let me open up the chats. Carolyn, Greg's Ledger, thanks a lot. You win the Mickey in the Middle comment gold medal for the night. So thank you very much. Great to see you, Carolyn. All right. So let's talk about peace in the Middle East. Donald Trump has said from day one, he said, as soon as I get into office, I'm going to go ahead and fix that. On day one, I'm going to fix what's happening in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas. Now, that didn't happen. We all know that didn't happen. He said that if he was the president when all of that stuff went down on October 7th, 2 years ago, that it would have never happened had he been president. I doubt that. I think that Hamas is a bunch of bad people, and Hamas had that plan for a really long time, and they knew what they were doing. So, Hamas. Let's start with Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Now, a while back, Israel said, okay, we will start working on a two-state solution, and we're going to give the Gaza Strip to the Palestinians for them to live. And so they kicked out of a bunch of Israelis, and Israelis went back to Israel, and then all the Palestinians had a place to go over on the Gaza Strip. Now, the Gaza Strip, oceanfront property. However, they had elections, and the people that were there said, we want Hamas to be our political leaders because we think that they're in the best position to do what the Palestinian people want to do. And as soon as they were in charge, they went crazy, and then they canceled all further elections. They said, we are now the power. We will speak for Palestine, and we will speak for the Palestinian people. And then they didn't hold any more elections. They just said that was it. We have the legal and moral authority to do whatever we want because the Palestinian people elected us to run the Palestinian people and Gaza. Now, that's not very democratic. It's not very republic-like. It's not very much of anything. All I know is Hamas took over that little portion of the world. Then what they did is because a lot of people said, hey, look here, the Palestinian people have been oppressed. We need to start sending money to the Palestinian people. So Hamas, being the government, was the go-between between all of the people that sent money and the Palestinian people. So what they would do is they would take the money and then they started building tunnels under the entire city. And they built them under hospitals. They built them under school. They built them under mosques. They built them under suburbs. They built them under apartment buildings. They built them everywhere. And they started buying weapons. All of this was funded through two sources. The first source was Iran, who had a religious doctrine that says that they want to rule the world and bring Islam to the world. And they're going to do this through different political organizations throughout the world, Hamas being one of them. So Iran was a state sponsor of Hamas. The other was you and me and Europe and Australia and Japan and Russia. And we gave billions and billions of dollars of aid to Hamas in order to make the situation on the Gaza Strip better. Now, here's what the problem with that is. The problem with that is Hamas was taking the majority of the money, building the tunnels, gathering arms, and getting ready for a war with Israel. And then they started terrorist action, like they would lob over missiles, a lot of missiles. They would go in and they would do raids in Israel and they would kill Israelis. It all culminated, all of this culminated on October 7th of 2023. And they made a daring raid into Israel, into a music festival where they killed hundreds and thousands. Let's go with over 1,000 people, thousands of people. Per capita, it was worse than 9/11 per capita. And then they kidnapped a whole bunch of people. That was 2 years ago that they did that. So, in an act of retaliation, Israel said, "That's it. That tears it. We're done with this. We're gonna go and blow you up." And it doesn't matter who you're standing behind. It doesn't matter whether you're underneath a school in those tunnels. It doesn't matter whether you're underneath a hospital. It doesn't matter whether you're underneath a suburb or an apartment building. We are going to blow you up. We are coming for you, Hamas. That's it. That tears it. We're sick and tired of your shit. We're coming after you. That's what happened. So now all of a sudden, Israel started going after Hamas, and the Palestinian people were between them. So the Palestinian people were being held hostage and by Hamas, and Israel was going, "We're going to spare as many civilians as possible, but here's what we're coming for you. If you're Palestinian people, you better get out of the way. We don't know where you're going to go, but you better get out of the way because we're coming for you." So that sets the stage for what I'm about to say next. Donald Trump, as soon as he took office, he said, "Hey, look here, I'm going to go fix this." And he tried to fix it, and he found out that it was not fixable. It wasn't fixable because it had 3,000 years of fighting over that region. Now, the world, back in the 1940s, got together and they all said, "Hey, look here, we're going to give Israel the rightful land that they have been on for 3,000 years just to settle the dispute." So Israel became officially a country. Although it was a country, it was already country. It was already a people. It was already a religion. It was already in everything. They just solidified that back in the 1940s. But the fighting continued. So that when Donald Trump got in, he went over there and he went, "Wow, this is really a mess. I really can't do anything about what happened on October 7th. We can't do anything except we can support Israel, our friends, and the only democratic government in the region." That was 9 months ago. And Donald Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff and many others have been working on a peace deal between Hamas and Israel. Now, earlier this year, they got a bunch of hostages back in exchange for prisoners. And that's where this story gets interesting. Because although they had arranged to make peace, they didn't make peace because Hamas didn't keep their end of the deal and Israel didn't keep their end of the deal. So they kept the fighting going. And then it escalated. And it escalated and it escalated until it was full warfare again between Israel and Hamas. Now, people were still getting killed. That should be an indicator of what is about to come. Because you got to remember, a leopard can't change its spots, a tiger can't change its stripes. It is what it is. And Hamas is a terrorist organization, and you can't take a gun away from a terrorist. Now, the peace deal was all the hostages come out from Hamas control back to Israel. Israel releases a couple thousand prisoners that they have captured over the years, and they return them to Hamas. Then gets to the phase 2, which is Hamas de-arms themselves, takes control of the area, and then Israel and a peacekeeping force decide what to do with the land. The problem is, when Donald Trump went over there to sign the paperwork, he had the backing of all these people. So I got them all written down here. It was amazing who showed up, right? So Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the Egyptian president, Emmanuel Macron from France, Erdogan from Turkey, Starmer from the UK, Meloni from Italy, Sanchez from Spain, Guterres, the UN Secretary General, was there, Costa from the European Council, and then Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, King Abdullah from Qatar, King Abdullah from Jordan, King Hamad bin Asa Al Khalifa from Bahrain, and then the leaders from Armenia, Pakistan, and Indonesia were also there. Now, who didn't show up was equally important. So Benjamin Netanyahu, who was the Israeli leader, he didn't show up. And then Hamas representatives also chose not to show up. So the two people that were in the parties that were in the conflict didn't show up to the peace deal that was there. So if you're going to broker a peace and you come up with these long demands and you come up with all these things that are going to be settled out, and then the two parties don't show up, what in the hell are we supposed to think of that? Now, they said it was the security concerns, and I don't blame them. I'd be nervous too, especially seeing as how they inked the deal. Trump flew over, he addressed the Knesset, and then he immediately went to Egypt, all within a 48-hour period. Now, Trump moved fast, but so did Egypt, Italy, UK, Spain, the French, the UN, Qatar, Jordan, Bahrain, Armenia, Pakistan, India. You should have seen the pictures. It was absolutely crazy. And then this is what resulted from that. This is what resulted. All right, let's go. Is the new scene there? Oh no, I got to share that. Hold on, I got to get a second. I got to get a second screen. Hold on, I got to add a scene. Media screen. Hold on just a second. Entire screen. That one right there. Share it. Now you can see it. So this is a picture that Time magazine put on its cover. It says, "The leader Israel needs and how Gaza heals." Is the two main stories that are in there. The reason I talk about that is Trump didn't like the way he was pictured in the article, but they talked glowingly about him in the article. And they said, wow, we never saw this coming. I am back, Carolyn. Thank you very much. Hey, Logan, how you doing? It's taken me a while to get my chats too. So here's what I know. A bunch of world leaders showed up. Israel didn't show up. Hamas didn't show up. Trump has been heralded for solving a 3,000-year-old war, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's not over. It's not over because you can't take guns away from terrorists. And even if you do take guns away from terrorists, they're going to go get more guns, and then they're going to just keep raising hell the way that they always have. Why? Because they have a worldwide hate for Israel. They're never going to hate that. Especially when they went into Israel and they proved it by butchering thousands of Israelis. And then when Israel started pounding them, that creates a lot of hate in there. And Donald Trump signing this deal is not going to change anything because you can't change the terrorists. You can't change the terrorists. But am I saying that there's no hope? No. I'm not saying that there's no hope. But I don't think that the United States of America can do this. I don't think that America can do that. Trump says, hey, we're going to rebuild Gaza, and that's great. The problem is that money can't solve hurt feelings, and it can't solve 3,000 years. So no matter what happens, you're going to have to go an entire generation or two generations of people, which is between 40 and 60 years, in order to solve that problem without having any problems. That means for another 20, 40, 60 years, there's still going to be people that are going to remember that they hate Israelis and some Israelis that hate the people in Gaza. The only people that can solve this are the people of the Middle East, the people of the same religious persuasion of the Palestinians. You can take away their guns, but you have to change their hearts and minds. They don't like Americans already. They don't like Israelis already. They don't like Europe already. They don't like most of the world because they don't have the same religious slant, is the best way I can put it, right? Because this is a religious war. So Israel being Jewish and Hamas being Muslim and American primarily being Christian and Europe primarily being Christian, it's hard to take over the world if you're a Muslim if you stop fighting for it. So they're doing a lot of the taking over the world by mass immigration into Europe. They're trying to do mass immigration into the United States of America in order to further promote their religious ideas. But there are a lot of moderate Muslim countries that are out there that have adopted what I would call a civil mindset that understands that if somebody doesn't agree with you religiously, it doesn't mean that you have to kill them, and it doesn't mean that you have to enslave them. Now, for thousands and thousands of years, the mindset has been conquer your enemies and subjugate them. But nowadays, the mindset of most of the peaceful nations is, hey, we can all get along and we can all work out our problems if we just talk about it and come up with accommodations for everyone. The United States of America is a great example of that, right? So the First Amendment of the Constitution, which is right here, which I shall read because it's very, very important. First Amendment of the Constitution, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. It's the first thing in the amendments to the Constitution that the government will not have anything to do with religion. It doesn't say they can't be religious. It doesn't say the people it doesn't say that the people that are in the government can't be religious. It says that the government will not establish a religion, nor prohibit anybody else from exercising their freedom of religion. With that kind of mindset, they have that in Europe. They're like, hey, look here, if you want to be Christian, you want to be Protestant, you want to be Jewish, you want to be Muslim, you want to be Buddhist, you want to be Hindu, you can go do whatever you want to do, but you got to be free. And you got to let other people do that. So civilized society has come up with a formula of you do you, and I do me. And you shouldn't want to kill me because I do me religiously from differently than you. So we can peacefully coexist on the planet if we do that. So the moderate countries in the Middle East have to go and talk to Hamas, and they have to go, listen, everybody. You got to let that religious fervor go. We understand that you're Muslims. If you want to talk to people and say, come to Islam, then talk to people. But if they don't kill them and don't enslave them. Let them do them. They're going to try to convince you to become Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever other religions are out there. You don't have to listen to them. You don't have to go and listen to them. They are going to try to convince you to become their religion, and you're going to try to convince them to become your religion. And who has the better argument gets to move over, and everybody gets to swap. That means that you're not allowed to kill people that leave your religion anymore. Indonesia is a great example. Indonesia, they're not killing people for leaving the Muslim faith that I know of. But Indonesia is huge. I mean, Indonesia is worldwide, right? Indonesia is a huge country in the world, right? So, but also, Saudi Arabia has become so much more moderate in the last 25 years. It's unbelievable. But then there's Qatar and the UAE, and I wrote them down, right? So Qatar, Saudi, the UAE, Egypt, Jordan, more, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, yes. But the whole thing is that the moderate Muslim countries have got to go talk to Hamas and say, you sons of bitches need to chill out. They're not going to listen to America. They're not going to listen to Europe. They're not going to listen to anybody else in the whole wide world. They're only going to listen to people of their same religious ideology. Now, Muslim has two sides. It has Sunni and Shia. See, this is knowing how the world works. This goes back to my basic premises of People don't understand how the world works, so they don't understand what's going on in the world. Therefore, they say stupid shit and they do stupid shit all the doggone time. Hamas is not going to listen to Donald Trump. They're not going to listen to Marco Rubio. They're not going to listen to the leaders. They're not going to listen to Macron or Sanchez or Starmer or Aragon. They might listen to the Turkish president Aragon, Erdogan. They might listen to the Egyptian president Abdel Fattah El Sisi, right? So they might listen to El Sisi, but they sure as hell are not going to listen to you. They're not going to listen to me. So when these Middle Eastern countries and Middle Eastern religions go over there and relate to them, when the president of Indonesia goes and talks to them, and they say, that's the only way out of this. It's the only way out of this. Now, I'm glad that all these other people showed up because it shows what's possible. Now, in the first Trump term, they did what they called the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords was the first of its kind. They got countries to actually agree to not hate Israel and start diplomatic and trade exchanges so that they could now have common commerce, right? So they could be trading partners. They can be diplomatic partners. They can work to keep security in the Middle East all together. Now, those countries that are working with Israel, that was brokered by the President of the United States between Muslim countries, primarily Muslim countries, and Israel are the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan. Now, there's talk about bringing Saudi Arabia into that, but I hope they bring Qatar, Saudi, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman. I hope they all get in on the Abraham Accords because it is of great interest to the Middle East to tell Hamas to chill out and to relax. Because right now, all they're doing is they're causing this turmoil that means that peace cannot be reached and people cannot live harmoniously with each other. So the United States of America now needs to get together with all these countries and make it economically and politically viable for them to be able to put pressure on Hamas. Because if Hamas and Iran, if Iran and the Hamas come around and they understand that the political and religious and commerce pressures is better for them, that they can actually get along with people of different religions and different states and different mentalities, how good would the world be then? How good would the world be if everybody could get along with their neighbors? If we can go back and just go, hey, can't we all just live in peace? Can you not kill me if I don't believe what you believe? The world needs a little bit more peace and a little bit more understanding and a little bit more conversation. The world needs to be able to see, and this applies in the United States of America, that the people that are politically or religiously opposed to your point of view do not necessarily need to be killed and are not necessarily your enemy because they believe different things that you do. We just talked that there's 8 billion people on the planet. We can't all think the same way. We're going to have differences. We're going to have different viewpoints. But here's what the thing is between the Jewish religion, the Christian religion, and the Islamic religion, it's all the same God. I always found that it's absolutely fascinating that all three of these religions have the exact same God. Islam in the Quran talks about Judaism and they talk about Christianity. I'm just saying, They have the same God. They have the same roots. One has a prophet, Muhammad. One has Jesus Christ. The other one doesn't have anything. They got the OG God. So the Jews have the OG, the Christians have Jesus, and the Muslims have Muhammad. But they all share one God. If you understand it from God's point of view, God's probably saying, hey, man, how come you guys can't work it out down there? Let's go get it together. Now, the conduit might be Donald Trump. Donald Trump might have pulled something off that's absolutely spectacular. I don't think he has. I don't think he has. Not unless the states that I talked about that are in the Middle East get their stuff together, and they're the only ones that can solve this problem by working with the United States of America, working with Israel, and bringing peace to the Middle East. Now, I'm not going to talk about birthright citizenship tonight because I screwed it up and I cut off the feed, and I'm sorry about that. But we got it back. So anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. I just want to say thank you very much for hanging out with me. Pray for peace in the Middle East. Pray for peace all over the world. And do your best to be the best middle American that you possibly can be. This is Mickey Spillane of Mickey in the Middle. Thank you very much for joining me. I cannot tell you how much I greatly appreciate it. You guys be good. You have a great night. And I will see you at Mickey in the middle of the week, next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central. You guys take care.